right, everybody. Happy Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Be sure to let me know how your weekend was in the comments. And if you're new, don't forget to say hi. We'll say good morning as people roll in here. It's Monday. People slowly rolling in, but just get the housekeeping out of the way. Go live Monday to Friday. Talk about our investing, talk about our TFSAs, all that good stuff, the market. Have a good time, good conversation. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching. And you can always catch it on the replay, but if you want to catch us in the morning, it's 8 o'clock Pacific time to about 8:45. So I've got my coffee crew is rolling in, as I can see, and let's see who's here. Here we go. Let's go. Candace, good morning. Candace, always good to have you here. Usually first. Paul can't always beat you, but good to have you here. Excellent live stream yesterday, Candace. I've learned to set my reminders, and it was good. It was a long one yesterday, but it was good. It's always good when the conversation gets going, and keep on going. Learned a lot. I'm looking forward to your video today on that on that ETF. So I'll keep an eye out for that one. And there was something else I was going to mention about your channel, but I can't remember now. It'll come to me. Anyways, hope you're well. Hopefully your morning's going. I think you're into the oil, so I think you maybe have a good morning if you got in there on at time. If you saw that, everybody kind of watching, is the oil is going crazy because of the cutbacks. We can talk about that though. Let's get through our good mornings and jokes and stuff and all this first. Here we go. GPT, it's always a tongue twister. ChatGPT 4 joke of the day. Why did the sci-fi, these are bad. Why did the sci-fi enthusiasts struggle with the stock market? Because every time they saw the letters ETF, they thought it stood for extraterrestrial fund. I wonder if there is a science and tech. There must be a maybe I don't know about science fiction, but it must be like a really science tech ETF. I wonder what that is. There we go. Easter Bunny investing. Are we getting a little bit of an Easter? What do we call it? Easter Bunny hop? Slow and steady works well. Adopt long-term patient approach for better results, and that makes sense. Talk about that a lot on here. Candace, slow and steady wins the race. Maybe more like tortoise and hare. I don't know, but on that note of slow and steady hops, it's Monday. I did my regular purchase today. Already done. Got it out of the way, and so do my transfer into Wealthsimple each Monday. I did a little bit more this week, this time though as well, because don't forget it's the first of the month, so I'm still carrying on that StreamYard challenge. So I figured out a free way how to stream and not using StreamYard, and I used that amount. I put it into BAM. And I did that this morning with a fractional share. It was about 33, worked out $25 US was about 33.62 if I remember correctly. So fractional purchase of that. But as always, channel members, again, thanks for channel members that are subscribing and joining as members. They'll see all those buys and sells over in the community tab for channel members, because I actually did a couple more purchases today. I put a little bit extra into the TFSA. So you can go, channel members will be able to catch that out after the live stream. For the purchases. There we go. That is out of the way. Stan, good morning. Good to have you here. And who else is here? Nadia's here. Good morning, Nadia. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Had a nice sunny kind of weekend here. It rained a little bit kind of at nighttime, but during the day was nice. Nice to get out. See Senecal. Good morning to everybody. And MC is here. Good morning. How are you doing? Hopefully good. And Kay Miller, excellent, first time, welcome. Well, make sure everybody say hi to Kay Miller. Always nice to have good new people here, finding the stream. On that note, if you haven't liked the stream yet, hit the like button. It helps new people like Kay Miller find us, which is awesome. And Claudio Souza, hello, good morning, hello. Sean, all the regulars are coming in. That's awesome, and yeah, it's always nice. If you have Kay Miller, if you have questions or comments, don't be afraid. I know a lot of people, if you're afraid to type something in, don't be. It's a good group of people here. We will not steer you in the wrong direction. I haven't been steered in the wrong direction on anything. A lot of times the suggestions from the coffee crew and stuff on the stream are actually, they've helped me out in the portfolio, which has been nice. One of the ones of purchases when I did a kind of a 100th episode special, I purchased 100 shares of Div. Kind of looking back on that was good suggestion. Haven't steered me wrong, and that's actually one I want to add more to. I want to try and build that up to about I want to try and build div to about 5% of my portfolio on there, but slow and steady. Again, how we go. So there we go. Got a couple of articles just to pull up today. But if anybody else has anything in particular, just let me know. We can always talk about that. It's always good when the conversation gets sidetracked. Those are always when the best parts do come out. So, and Abigail Bailey, good to have you back. Haven't seen you for a little bit. Yeah, maybe vacation. I don't know where you've been. But catch the recordings. Recordings are always there, and it's awesome. A lot of people actually do catch the recordings. I know not everybody can get here on 8 o'clock on a weekday. They might have work. If you're working, that's good. If it means that you can hopefully keep investing, keep putting in there. There we go. Yeah, 5%. Yeah, Candace. I mean, that's kind of your theory a little bit too, but that's kind of how my portfolio's kind of worked out. I keep basically it's working out to about 25% in VDY, that ETF, and then about 25% in the VFE, which is the S&P 500 ETF. And so that's about 50% of the portfolio. Then everything else is kind of, I try and keep around the five-ish mark. I'm a little bit over in holdings of Tesla. I have the Tesla CDR, but also the Tesla Yield. Probably won't be buying any more of the Tesla Yield ETF, but I mean, I do want to slowly add to Tesla, I think, for the long term. But so that's a little bit over. I want to say, just off the top of my head, probably going closer to 7-ish%. So not too much over, but the rest, yeah, try and keep around 5. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. Haven't added anything new, to the portfolio at all. Always kind of looking, right? This is part of the live stream. It's selfish. We keep a tab on what other people are doing, that kind of thing. But no changes. I think maybe start to look, you start to see things like, for example, today, oil. I don't have any I have oil exposure in VDY with Canadian oil companies, and then of course you see, you read on the weekend what the heck's going on. Cutting OPEC, they're cutting back production, and you think, I should probably, then you start to kind of think and want to make changes, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe on Monday do I change something around, do this, do that? But I haven't. I'm sticking with, like, it's sometimes it's hard, but I'm sticking with my plan, I think, for this year, and that's basically what I'm doing with my weekly dollar cost averaging. Not kind of going to go chase anything. Not to say sometimes this might be good, but I just keeping things as they are. Yeah, work boring. Yeah, Mondays are kind of, well, these are good. You know what, Abigail, these are a good way to start the Monday. It kind of gets me in the mood for work, because obviously I don't work on weekends. I get my weekends off, and Monday's always the day coming in. You're like looking over it, you see your emails. Not too bad today, nothing jumping in, but of course Mondays is kind of that day that catching up from Friday and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say it's boring. I like my job, but I know what you mean. It would be nice to be maybe this will be down the road once the portfolio gets to where I want it to be. I start to plan for the future. I'll maybe be eventually retired and not working, but not bored either. That's the big thing too with retirement. I think make sure you're not bored. Working on maybe some more hobbies. That's the thing. I'll be out taking more pictures, just kind of doing that kind of thing, and the channel, because I enjoy this. So that maybe I'll keep doing this. You'll see me. I'll be 70. I'll be in my 70s, live streaming from the retirement home or something. I don't know. We'll see. There we go. All good. Let's go. I have one article we kind of touched on a little bit, and there we go. Matthew, yeah, fire in the comments. It's always good. I do have articles, but it's always good to chat with everybody else. So yeah, had a good weekend. It was working. That's okay though. Matthew, always good to have you here. Did anybody? I guess I kind of, as I just went over what I purchased. Did anybody buy anything today? What's everybody's portfolio doing? Do you have I guess a good question too. Does everybody have? If anybody's dollar cost averaging, what's the day of the week that you you do it? That's a good question for people out there. I choose Monday because it's just it's good routine for me. But I know some people do tie it to paydays. I have my paydays coming if it's payday, it's Fridays, so it kind of works well for me because Mondays the money will be in the account. So that's kind of how I choose to do it. All right, let's pull up one of these articles and keep chatting away here. All right, that should be it. Talked about it a little bit already, but let's pull that up. Oil. That was the big thing. So OPEC is reducing production up until the beginning of the end of this year. So that's why if you have oil stocks or ETFs in your portfolio and you check today, they're probably up a little bit, which is always nice. The one I watch, and I think Candace, I think you watch this one too, is XEG up around 5%. So interesting. We'll see how what happens. Obviously, we can probably can expect a little bit higher prices at the pump going forward. Obviously, summer coming up too. We also had the carbon tax that came into effect on April 1st as a nice April Fool's joke. But yeah, we'll see. Although you read this, and I'm let me know what your kind of opinions or predictions are on all this. Oil production going down, but there's also the talk of recession coming up and slowdown. So it might not be as we might not be as bad in prices. This kind of might offset with some of that. I guess they're maybe thinking that demand won't be as high. I don't know. We'll have to see how this does pan out. But anybody in the short term, anyways, at least has some gains in oil. I could see it probably kind of creeping up. The downside with all this is with any kind of is kind of the inflation keeping high, with energy. But we'll have to see how this does play out. It's only kind of just happened, so we'll have to definitely see. And Matthew does his orders. Oh, so you do your orders on Saturday? Okay, we'll wake up to an inbox today, to an inbox full of buys. There you go. You know what? Matthew, funny. I've never thought of putting in my orders early over the weekend, but that's a good idea. It's funny. I didn't even think. I guess you could. Yeah, it just won't obviously execute until the market is open. You could kind of put them in anytime. I could probably have done that. That's a good idea. Gives you something to kind of look at over the weekend and decide what you want to get to. So you wake up to a nice wake up, and your inbox is full of buys. The only thing better than waking up to an inbox of buys is waking up when you wake up and you have the inbox full of the dividends that you've been received. Those are always nice to those are always nice to wake up to. It was good for dividends. Obviously coming up to it's obviously the beginning of the month now, so they've all kind of rolled in, and I was totaling them up on my I have my spreadsheet for the month. And March, it was actually, let me just pull it up because it was actually I keep them on a Google sheet. My quarter, like my first, because it's the end of the first quarter now, it was actually the highest dividend quarter I've had yet. So that's awesome. And actually, I think no, March wasn't the biggest dividend, but it was the biggest quarter. I had a nice decent one in January coming into the new year. So this dividend, and comparing it to last year, let's pull it. Let me just look here. I won't pull this up because it's really hard for you to see. It's pretty small. It's basically like my quarter this year was, first quarter I was paid a total. I can maybe show this. Let's pull this up. It's kind of fun to see if I can pull that up. So first quarter, you might not be able to read this. This was obviously shared to the channel members as well. They see all my dividends as they come through. So my first quarter for 2023 was $154.27. Which was awesome. But then if we go back and see last year's, my fourth quarter was $100.43. So up from that. So for like over first quarter from 2022, year over year, my first quarter 2022 was 55.34. So up, yeah, more, almost triple, which is awesome. Over double. So that's good. This kind of shows like over the long, long term, slow and steady kind of wins the race there. So that's kind of nice to see. Even if the market or some of your positions and stuff like that are down, it's nice to see it slowly growing as well. So this is good. A crude joke, no pun intended. And Matthew Hall's crude. So high prices are good. There we go. Yeah, this is good. I mean, this can be good for Canada for sure. We just have to sell our oil. That's the big thing. But I believe it. Yeah, I think we're kind of getting there. We're gonna have this volatile time, MC. I'll read the rest of your comment because some of it got cut off, so people that are just listening can hear it. We may be living in an 80s era, higher inflation, although still not high, and possibly higher oil. It's funny when people say interest rates are high. I think they were lower or around pre-2008 great financial crisis rates. Yes, I think you're pretty close on there. That's right. We've been really spoiled with low rates for such a long time that I think we're going to have more like quote like normalized rates for a while, and we may see with inflation, especially, we may see these ups and downs probably for, I mean, like you say, 80s area, like it's probably going to be a decade. I could see it being a decade of kind of this high ups, really volatile time. We'll have to see how things definitely pan out. But rates, I mean, rates, the thing with the rates though, MC, is it's the increase has been the highest ever, right? And it's that's the shock, right? It hasn't gone up. Even in the 80s, it didn't go up. They were obviously higher at the time, so going up that much higher wasn't the same percentage wise. So that's kind of the shock. I think, and I mean, in Canada, we have, I mean, obviously rates, everybody knows what the rates are. We talk about it all the time. Rates are high, but a lot of Canadian, like we talked about a little bit with the mortgages, like a lot of the Canadians aren't necessarily feeling the higher rates right now because their mortgages aren't adjusting to rates. And that's, I think, going to be a bit of an issue. That's something that's going to be affecting them down the road, kick the can down the road, right? And if your interest rates, if your mortgage is not impacted, anybody that's renewing a mortgage, that's when they're going to get hit with these. So I think what's the percentage? I'd have to pull up the financials to look at that, but the like the banks with amortizations over 30 years are, I think, in the 20-30% ish. It's quite substantial. And from what I think I understand and kind of have heard is a lot of the majority of like renewals coming up are coming like 24, 25, a quite substantial amount, even fixed rate mortgages in Canada. So we'll have to see how that really pans out the long term. But it'll really also depend on where rates are, but rates will, I think, still be elevated by then too. So that's going to be a bit of a hit for people. And it's interesting when you see if you do read the bank financials and see what percentage of mortgages are held that are over 30-year amortizations, it's capped out at 30 years. I've seen mortgage statements. I've seen people post them on Twitter at like something like amortization as being like 70 years, over 70 years. So yeah. And yeah, it's true. The Canadian dollar, it's been stronger. It's been stronger lately. I think I read MC this morning. The Canadian dollar is like, is it a 6-month high? I think today, or coming into today. But oh, I remember that too. When the conversion rate. That's right. Was that 2013? There you go. Yeah. We were over par, right? People. That's right. People were in this, like you see the stores, book prices and stuff, and of course it never lasts, always moves around. Yes, that's going to be a big issue for people, regardless of what product or anything you have. You could have a fixed rate, you could have a variable rate. no matter what you're renewing into, is higher. I could see that would be stressful for people, for sure. It is, absolutely. You're probably renewing, I mean, not necessarily a rate that's double, but pretty close. Which is the thing. I think a lot of people with renewing will have to definitely shop around, look for the best rate, but also there's also possibly having to obviously, because if you don't forget, if you're just renewing your mortgage, say you took a 30-year amortization, MC, it's a 5-year term. When you're coming up to renew, you have to renew at 25 years. So like your amortization is reducing, so your payment will actually, with these rates especially are going to go up. So there's possibly, I think, more people come renewal time will be looking at having to maybe refinance to extend amortizations, especially if you have some lower amortizations. Pre-construction too, yes. We see that a lot. There's people in Ontario. It really depends on when you bought. That's for sure. And trying to get a loan for those, because obviously banks, lenders only loan on the current value, and if what you bought it for was substantially higher, you have to come up with the difference. And there has been issues with that, but yeah, that's the thing. People buy them in speculation, right? And that's where you get kind of hurt on that. And yeah, I could see pre-construction could be an issue, because you're on the hook to buy those. Renewing, sometimes you might have some options, right? But in terms of that, the biggest kind of thing I think I see in renewing MC, and we talked about a little bit with the lenders, like for example EQ Bank, Equitable Bank, is like these other lenders that are like alternative type lenders for people that can't qualify traditionally at a regular bank, might be self-employed, different reasons, right? I wouldn't even necessarily say bad credit, good credit, but just don't have the income on paper to be able to show it for their business or whatever. And they're doing these alternate lenders, Equitable Bank, Home Trust, that kind of thing. Those renewal rates are massive. They'd be coming in. Seen rates where last year they took the rate and it was just over 3%. 3.29%, sometimes as low as 3%, 2.99, and the renewals are coming in at over 7, and that's a big issue, because if your rate all of a sudden goes from 3% to over 7, you can't afford it, and so that's a big problem for sure. And that's the thing for the people with pre-construction, right? You might be basing it on the rates when they bought it, possibly, and variable rate, under 2%, something like that, back a couple of years ago, and that's the problem. Now I know a lot of the pre-construction places do have certain lenders that can do cap rates, that kind of thing, but again, they're not going to be that low. They're usually hedged for the time, but yeah, it definitely will be. It's definitely hard. Definitely hard. And yeah, it really depends. It really depends on when you bought it. Yeah, really depends when you bought it. Oh, K Miller, the first home savings account. Yeah, that's an interesting one. There's not a ton of info about that. We were actually talking about that a little bit yesterday on Candace's stream about it. Some of the maybe let us know in the comments where you opened it. I don't think all the banks and stuff have it set up yet to actually do it, and there's still some, I guess, not gray area, but it's just, I guess it's also interpreting who can actually open these things. I think from my understanding, you can't have owned a home 1 year prior to opening the account. You have to really read the rules, and about that. But it's a good one. I think it's definitely a good product. Depending also too, I think people that can take advantage of it, possibly the people. Obviously, that want to buy a house, that's one thing, because it works much like it's kind of like a hybrid. It's sort of like a hybrid between hybrid TFSA RRSP, because if you deposit into it, you can put up, if you open it up, what is it, 8,000 a year? Don't quote me. I think it's 8,000 a year because this is so brand new. And then, but you have to use it within, I think, 15 years. And you can't have, in order to use it, you can't have owned a home, I think, within the last four or 5 years. But when you put the money in, it's tax deductible like an RSP. And then when you take the money out, if you're buying a home, it's tax deductible. But again, down the road, if you're taking them, if you don't use it, it will transfer into your RRSP. So it's kind of like an extra RRSP a little bit. I could see if you're strategic about it, to be a good product. And the one thing about the FH, there's so many acronyms for all this stuff. First Home Savings Account, is also I think you can do, like, obviously it's not just a savings account, so you can invest other things once the accounts get opened up. But also too, when you withdraw the money to buy a home, it's the opposite of an RSP, that you don't have to pay it back. Whereas RSP, like if you go to the first time home buyer program for an RSP, you have to pay that amount back within 50, it gets basically within 15 years to pay it back. So, but the FHA, you don't, from my understanding. So kind of goes, I think it's good. It's the hard part, I think, is obviously being able to save. That's the hardest thing, right? And as we all know, houses in Canada are crazy expensive. But even if you are saving it and end up not using it, it eventually goes into your RSP. So that's maybe not a bad thing either. For sales are up 300% since last year. I'd have to look at the numbers. I think it's really probably also area specific, MC. The last thing I know that a bank or lender wants to do is foreclose. So I think my word of suggestion for anybody that is watching that might be having issues is the first thing you should always do is call your bank, call your lender, talk to them, because they have been making arrangements for sure to try and keep you in there. That's the last thing they want to do. But if you are in that situation, you're better off to take, not go that far. And if you are not able to make your payments and you think it ends up being an issue, then you're better off taking the step to sell first, because as soon as it goes into forced sale, foreclosure, legal fees start adding up, and it just eats away at what equity you had. So it's better to kind of, it's horrible, but to tell someone that they have to, it's better to do it for yourself than be forced out. That's for sure. So. But I'd have to look at the stats. It's still low in general. I think it's in Canada. I think it's still low. People typically pay their mortgage, but in Ontario, I'll have to ask my friend Rob in Ontario. Have seen more here though with work, obviously, MC, a little bit. Nothing like that causes maybe some huge alarm, but more than normal, I guess, would be the best way to kind of say it. And FHA, that's with Quest Trade. Okay, good to know. I think everywhere will eventually have it set up. I could see soon enough. Wealthsimple probably will have it as one of their options of accounts, I would think. And so two for Quest Trade. There you go. So I think they'll probably be kind of everywhere. Be a big push, obviously, and see where they all eventually open up. So good idea. I still have tons. I still have tons of room in my TFSA. I still have tons of room in my RRSP. But that being said, it might be worthwhile. I don't know how the rules and stuff will work, but if you're able to open it up, at least just open it up, and then you can start to get something in there. Because then I think you get a certain amount. I don't know how it carries over with the amounts each year, but you probably want to open one up if you're able to, anyways, just in case. And CTV. Okay, I'll have to maybe search that out and see. But yeah, they definitely are. There definitely is more. What I've noticed more here, MC, is people come renewal time deciding to sell. That's what's happened, because they know they can't make the payments, and that's across across the board with a lot of, it could be like, for example, not picking fingers on Equitable Bank or some of these alternative ones. It can be any lender. If people just realize like it's too much, and they decide to sell, maybe downsize, move, that kind of thing. Because a lot of times, I mean, if you look at it, break down the numbers, depending what you, it's hard though, because if you've got family, you got kids, you got school, all this kind of stuff, it's hard to kind of have to make that choice. But there's other people that it's easier to do. But if it's, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Plus everything else has got way more expensive too. I think but again, it comes down to everybody kind of got used to really low rates, for everything. And then all of a sudden, you have a low mortgage payment, which is great, but then you go and buy a car and you have a car payment now, and and then everything else gets more expensive. Nothing's getting cheaper, and it just eventually hits. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's, I mean, I have to look at the numbers. I wouldn't necessarily say it's maybe 300% across the board, but we'll maybe start to see more, I think, of that. Maybe in the future. The big thing with the market right now is prices. Everything I've been looking at, the prices are still, I mean, they're down a little bit. I don't know Ontario that well, but where I am, MC, and prices have been down a little bit, but not a ton. And the biggest thing is there's not a lot of inventory available, so no one is selling, and anybody that is buying or looking to buy can't find anything. And also people are looking, there's not that crazy FOMO from before, where people would be just trying to buy anything because that they felt they had to. More people now are taking their time to buy, but then on the flip side, there's not a lot of stuff on the market or coming up, that so people are sitting on the sidelines. And the biggest thing comes now is if someone is selling, they have to turn around and buy, and there's no inventory for them to buy. So it's kind of like you're in this limbo. So until prices are staying up, even with higher rates, because a lot of people aren't moving. But we'll have to see how that does kind of pan out. I think it just takes eventually it will some people will obviously either have to sell because they can't afford it, so we might see more on the market with that way, and then the buyers will come in, or it's really hard to know, or buyers will finally decide that they'll have to start buying these things and pay more for them. It's this weird equilibrium that has to get fixed up. But the biggest thing is inventory. There's just and it's also really like types of dwellings, right? For single family dwellings, homes here, there's just nothing, very little, in areas. It's really area dependent. So here we go. I'll make sure I got all the comments going here. These are always fun. I think I got everybody. Excellent. I'm caught up. Look at that. Good stuff. I will dig up MC. I will try and dig up if I can find some for sale numbers, and maybe see if I can find something. And get back maybe tomorrow and figure out some actual numbers. The biggest thing is a lot of it too is gets really delayed, because it does take a long time through that process, 6 months or more. So some of the stuff takes a while to kind of show up, come through the pipe with the courts and all that kind of stuff. So I did have one more article, and we can share. And again, as always, comments always appreciated. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. It always helps out the channel, get it out there. And I'm going to pull up that other article. And there we go. Because we're in the start of a new quarter. Big six banks make the TSX a March loser, and I always love these headlines: March loser while U.S. indexes jump. Interesting thing with the banks. The banks in Canada. Obviously, well, we've had the problems in the States, in Europe with banks, Canadian banks in general. I think fairly secure, strong. Something to be said about something to be said about. Just having a handful of big banks in Canada and Canada. So I need a graphic for this one. This all these news, big March losers, but banks in general down. I don't know if anybody. I know the banks are popular in Canada for investors. That is for sure. Just reading through, I'm a lurker over on Blossom, and that's one thing I have been noticing is a lot of people picking up a lot of the Canadian banks, usually their favorite, TD or whoever, and so there might be some opportunity there. I think in the future. I don't have any individual banks. VDY is heavily in banks. I want to say about 30. It's about 30%. I think it's actually over 30%, 33%-ish. So that covers my bases there, but might be somewhere to look. The S&P TSX Banks Index dropped 6.8% in March. So banks are down, and might be some opportunity there going forward. That was one I wanted to kind of bring up. I know how everybody kind of likes their Canadians like to invest in their Canadian banks, and so maybe that is everybody I see, a lot of people that I see over on Blossom is like just trying to buy as much bank shares as they can during this time. And I'll kind of see. I'll have to figure out if I can pull up just graphics somehow. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to kind of do that. Maybe some animations. I know I can pull up videos and stuff like that with this, but I haven't tried it yet. I think I can. I think with this, it's with OBS, and I think I can pull up. Videos like from YouTube and stuff like that. But I think you have to be careful with copyright stuff. If I play like some of the Yahoo Finance articles and stuff, will autoplay a video. So I try and avoid those because I don't want them to autoplay and get me a copyright strike on my channel. So that's the last thing I want. On channel news. There we go. That's a good segue for that. Channel growing slowly but surely. If you didn't catch the live stream on Friday, I know we have a few new people here today. Go check out the one on Friday. We had Jordan from. He's got a YouTube channel, Covered Call Investing. I want to give him a shout out again. Thanks, Jordan. He works during the weekday. He took a day off on Friday. Wasn't just for me. He had some time to spend with his family and kids and stuff. But took the time in the morning to spend an hour with us here, which was really appreciated. I think it was a good live stream. I learned lots. He has a different type of investing portfolio he's after, that he's researched, and it's always nice to have some other opinions and see how other people are investing and having on the channel. So if you haven't watched that one, go check that out. It was about 45 minutes, so you can go listen to that. That is on the replay. We'll have Jordan back. I think he had fun. I had fun. I think everybody enjoys seeing a new face sometimes on the stream. So that was good. In terms of going forward with the channel, I didn't get an update filmed on the weekend. The weekend was nice weather, and I spent a bit more time. I've got my other YouTube channel, so I was out taking photos, doing all that stuff, having a bit of fun. I didn't get my regular update that I'd like to film on the weekend. The weekend kind of got away from me. I'll get that filmed in the next couple days and get that up to the channel, so you'll be able to see the portfolio's hit a certain, it's gone over now a little threshold, so that's always nice to seeing it growing, and so that'll be shared very shortly on the channel. But I always appreciate everybody that does watch for those updates. It's a lot of fun, and actually, I forgot to even mention, I could have done this as the theme of the live stream today. It was my channel and my portfolio's two-year anniversary on April 1st. I started at April 1st, 2021, and that's when I started my TFSA in Wealthsimple was basically April 1st, 2021, first deposit. You can go back and look at those old videos when I was beginning, and I'm still a beginner, but learning what the heck I was doing. And it's nice to look back, and then now 2 years later, look at it, even though, it is still, it's in the red. But it's nice to see it growing, and what I've learned along the way has been invaluable. And it's just appreciated, everybody that tunes in and watches. It's pretty amazing, the channel kind of growing. I started it more to kind of keep me accountable, but I think everybody hopefully enjoys watching it, seeing the updates, and it gives them maybe some suggestions on what to do or what not to do, that kind of thing on theirs, and just kind of see how everybody else's, see how you can compare yours to mine and that kind of thing. It's always kind of fun to do. So keep going. Still, the goal is still to have the balance up to $100,000. Slow and steady bunny hops, as Candace says, and we'll get there. So it's slowly and surely. I think the big thing now, seeing dividends keeping rolling in, keeping appreciating and growing, that's going to help. And then also just the regular deposits are going to help. So we'll get there. The $100,000. It seemed, when I first started, it seemed like such a big, like a big long way away in terms of a big goal. But each year it kind of seems closer and closer. It's still obviously a ways off, but the way everything kind of compounds and grows, and stick with it, I think we'll be there sooner than maybe what I was first planning, but we'll have to see what pans out. So it's always fun. We'll keep going. We'll keep doing this. Looking for Bigfoot I was looking for, I was looking yesterday for starfish, as it's funny to say that, but also I'm trying to get and like anything in the ocean, like seals and stuff like that, but whole other story. Not quite Bigfoot. I was at the ocean on the weekend. My nickname is Bigfoot, size 18. Size 18 is massive. I thought I had big feet, but I don't. I guess mine are 13, but not 18. That would have a hard time finding shoes. That's too funny. All right, there we go. All right, well, we're coming up to the quarter two. Thanks everybody for tuning in. These are always fun. We always get a good group of people. Good morning chat. Nice to see everybody on Monday. The sun is out today, so I'm gonna be able to open the blinds, have a nice sun to work in the day. I will get that update film, so you can check that out. The channel members can go check out after that on my community tab, all the buys that I did today. You can check those out. They are up there already. Again, thanks for everybody that tunes in. I love doing these. It's a good way to start the day. Gets me going, gets me motivated for the day. And again, special thanks to all the channel members that have subscribed and as a member, always appreciated. But then again, everybody else that joins in, just the views, just the likes are much appreciated. It's kind of a good way to start my day, and we'll keep going. I'll have the live stream for tomorrow posted, so you can get that notification turned on and join us tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. Happy investing, and